Hi everyone, welcome along to Bree Imagined. I'm Bree. Behind me over there you can see the finished cabinet that I hadn't finished the previous time. It's still sitting on Facebook Marketplace. It's a little bit probably too unusual for the area, so I'm considering changing it, but not yet. We've got other things to do. So this time around we're looking at these two small bedside tables, wrought iron and timber. The person had painted them white and distressed them. I didn't really like them, so I fixed them up and changed them and have since sold them. So with all that, let's just get going. Okay, so I forgot to take this video. That's why one of the tops is already cleared off. The units themselves were in really good condition. Like there was absolutely nothing wrong with them at all. The person, as I said, had tried to distress them. The bottoms had rusted up a little bit, and they were a bit wobbly. A bit wobbly. They need little rubber feet to make them straight, but yeah, no, they were in good condition. So I just started by stripping the tops. I'm using this new paint stripper from Diggers, which is, I think they call it household grade or something like that. It works differently to the other strippers that I've used in that it doesn't kind of lift the paint, it makes it very sloppy. So you'll see this a little bit later on. So it actually took two layers to get. First of all, took off the white layer, and the second one took off most of the varnish layer that had been left underneath. So it took a little bit of time. These aren't as quick either as the standard one because it doesn't work the same. So I left these for about, I don't know, 45 minutes before I went back in, and what you'll see is it lifts it up really well, but the stripper, you see at the end there, is really wet. So there was a lot of dripping. So if you're trying to strip one part of a thing with this type of stripper, just be careful to protect the bits that you don't want the stripper to drip on, because it will, and it did with mine. It didn't matter with me because I was going to sand off pretty much everything anyway, so I wasn't too concerned. But if I was just stripping the very top and I didn't want to touch the other bits too much, it would have been a problem. So you can see it strips off really easily. I got it back to just about nothing with the white. The varnish didn't strip off quite as easily, but it came off enough. You can see here the varnish is stripping away, but not all of it came off, but it was fine. It did the job and I was happy with its performance. You cleared that off with water rather than having to use spirits, and then of course I waited for them to dry and went on to sand the tops back. I whitewashed the tops with a mixture of half and half Dixie Belle cotton and water. Just painted it on and then wiped it back. Then I moved on to doing the drawers. So first of all, I'm taking off the old hardware. We'll be replacing this. It doesn't quite match the vision that I have. And here is where I worked out that I didn't have to hand sand all of those sides. I could actually have done it with the circular sander, so yeah, it was good that I didn't have to do them on these. I had something special in mind for the front of the drawers. I'm going to use some epoxy and make some mouldings for it that will then be painted along with the drawer fronts. This is my very first time actually using epoxy resin, so I was a little bit nervous, wasn't sure how it was going to work out, but as you can see I went for the smallest possible container of it just in case, you know, it went badly. I did buy a big pile of it because it was nice and cheap at the time. So mixing the two parts together. With this one it was 2 to 1. Give them a good old stir. And then fill up the mould. And then leave it for 24 hours. So while we were waiting for the moulds to dry, I went along and did the wrought iron bits. I sanded them back, just gave them a scuff sand, And then I was going to go straight in and spray them with the epoxy enamel, but then I realized that I needed to prime them first. So this is actually an etching primer. You needed a specific etching primer to do this rather than just a plain old primer because it's working on metal. Put the primer on, waited for that to dry, and then put the white epoxy spray enamel over the top of that. Alright, so the next thing to do is to paint with the same Dixie Belle cotton. It's like a warm white rather than a really stark bright white, so it was lovely. I really liked it. I'll be using it again. My preference is for the warm whites rather than the really brights. But there wasn't very much painting to be done. These were quite small. I had previously scuff sanded all of these surfaces, as you can see. Then we popped the moulds out of the tray. They came out just absolutely gorgeous. They're little rose patterns, flowers and leaves and things. And then like how I keep saying I put them on the front of the drawers, leaving the space where I could put the drawer handles back on, and making sure that they're actually a pigeon pair, so they're back to front to each other, opposite each other, so I made sure that they were both on the right way. I'd like to thank all of the people who have sponsored me, either on Buy Me a Coffee or who've just, subscribed to the channel, or who've looked at my Amazon wish list. Apparently it hasn't been working, so I think I've fixed it now. But if you are the type of person who would like to support me with a little bit of your funds, Buy Me a Coffee and Amazon wish list, the links are both in the description down the bottom, and I can't thank you enough for your support. And next I changed the colour of these handles. I really liked the style of them, but they were black and I wanted gold, so these being metal again, I had to use the primer, the etching primer, which was grey. Put that on, and I'm not sure I have any footage of me painting them gold, so you may not see that. You might too, I'm not sure. got a couple of coats of varnish. This is the one coat clear. It's matte from, it's just Bunnings, it's a British paints thing, but I never do a single coat of it. I always do thin coats. They say that you can just fling a thick coat on, but I'm wary of doing that, and I like to sand in between the coats just to make sure they get a beautiful finish. Next, I dipped my finger in a bit of gilding wax and just highlighted the high points on the moulds on the fronts of the drawers. And the last thing we needed to do was to put the handles back on. Just a quick reminder for you of what they looked like before, and then we will do the big reveal. So a very simple transformation today, but one that I think made a lot of difference to it, and obviously they sold really quickly, so that would seem to be the case. Thanks so much for being here to enjoy the video. Feel free to like and comment or subscribe to the channel. That's always appreciated, and I will see you the next time. Bye bye.